In the Persian Gulf, a small coral island, Kharg Island, has become the epicenter of a global crisis. For most, it's an unknown speck on the map. But today, March 30th, 2026, it's at the center of world attention. Tensions are escalating as US and Israeli attacks on Iran have zeroed in on this critical point. The United States, under President Donald Trump, is openly considering military action against Kharg. Warships are moving in, elite troops are on alert, and both sides are issuing ultimatums. This is no longer a distant threat, it's a real and present danger that could ignite a wider war. Why Kharg? Not for its size, but for what flows through it: oil. Kharg Island is Iran's main oil export terminal, the economic heart of the nation. To control Kharg is to control Iran's economic lifeblood. As an April 6th deadline set by President Trump approaches, the world holds its breath. The situation is a powder keg, the fuse burning short. Decisions made now could mean a contained operation or a catastrophic regional conflict. The fate of global peace and economic stability hangs on this tiny island. Kharg Island is not just land, it's the core of Iran's economy. 90% of Iran's crude oil exports pass through its massive terminal facilities. Oil is piped from inland fields, stored in tanks holding millions of barrels, then loaded onto supertankers bound for Asia and Europe. Kharg's deepwater terminal is among the world's largest, but its centralization makes it vulnerable. Any disruption here would be an economic catastrophe for Iran. That's why Kharg is the focus of American military planning. The Trump administration sees it as a strategic lever. Seize Kharg and you hold Iran's economy hostage. The island's status as Iran's economic jugular makes it a tempting target. Kharg is now the central pawn in a high-stakes geopolitical chess match. Its fate could reshape the region and the world economy. The US has launched its largest Middle East military buildup in decades, sending a clear message to Tehran. Thousands of elite troops, paratroopers, Marines and sailors are positioned around the Gulf, ready for action. The USS Tripoli, loaded with F-35B jets, Osprey aircraft and helicopters, serves as a mobile command center. This force is tailored for seizing coastal targets like Kharg Island. Amphibious assault ships, advanced air power and rapid deployment troops are all in place. President Trump has paused direct attacks for a 10-day diplomatic window, but the military option remains ready. The world watches, waiting to see if the order to strike will come. The pieces are set. The stakes couldn't be higher. The Pentagon's plan isn't a full-scale invasion. It's a limited high-impact operation. The main scenario: seize Kharg Island, overwhelm Iranian defenders and control the oil terminals. This would give the US immense leverage over Iran's economy and nuclear ambitions. Other options include targeted raids on Iran's coastal military assets to protect shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. The strategy is to deliver a swift, painful shock, crippling Iran's capabilities without triggering all-out war. Secretary of State Marco Rubio suggests air and sea power could achieve US objectives, but ground troops remain an option. The goal: force Iran to the negotiating table from a position of weakness. It's a high-risk gamble with global consequences. Despite US superiority, seizing Kharg Island would be perilous. Iran has fortified the island with troops, mines and missile defenses. Beaches are likely mined and defenders are equipped with anti-aircraft missiles. US forces would face threats from Iranian drones, fast attack boats, and anti-ship missiles. The approach to Kharg could be as dangerous as the landing itself. Even if Marines take the island, they'd be static targets for Iranian missiles from the mainland. The mission could devolve into a protracted siege, with American lives at constant risk. A senior US official summed it up. Seizing it is not difficult. Protecting your guys once they are there is. The operation risks spiraling into a drawn-out, bloody conflict. The dangers extend far beyond the initial assault. Every move carries the risk of uncontrollable escalation. The Kharg crisis isn't just a regional dispute, it threatens the global economy. The nearby Strait of Hormuz is the world's most critical oil choke point. 1/5 of global oil passes through it. Any military action could disrupt this flow, sending oil prices skyrocketing and triggering panic in markets. Shipping insurance would soar, and many tankers would avoid the area, risking a global supply shock. Energy importing nations would face soaring costs, inflation, and possible recession. The economic pain would hit not just Iran, but America's allies and the US itself. The world's prosperity depends on the free flow of energy. The Kharg standoff exposes just how fragile that stability is. A single spark here could ignite a worldwide crisis. Iran has vowed severe retaliation if Kharg is attacked. The Revolutionary Guard sees any strike as total war, not a limited action. Iran's missile arsenal can hit US bases and Gulf allies, threatening oil fields and financial centers. Tehran's network of proxies, Hezbollah, Iraqi militias, Houthis, would be unleashed across the region. The Persian Gulf could become a war zone, with Iran attempting to close the Strait of Hormuz. The US Navy could eventually reopen it, but only after a bloody fight. Iran's message is clear. If its oil is blocked, no one else's will flow either. The risk of escalation is real and global. The Kharg crisis is about more than military might. It's about energy and power. Control of oil has shaped global politics for decades. Now, Kharg is the latest battleground. For the US, this is about securing the world's energy supply and asserting dominance. For Iran, Kharg is a symbol of sovereignty and survival. Any attack is seen as an existential threat, demanding a fierce response. The world's dependence on Gulf oil keeps these tensions alive. As long as oil rules, the risk of conflict remains. As March 30th ends, the world stands on a knife's edge. President Trump's ultimatum expires in a week. Tehran promises firestorm retaliation. 3 paths lie ahead: a diplomatic breakthrough, a limited US strike, or a full-blown regional war. Diplomacy could avert disaster, but mistrust runs deep. A surgical strike might shock Iran into submission or trigger uncontrollable escalation. All-out war would close the Strait, explode oil prices, and plunge the world into crisis. The choices made now will shape the future of global power. Is stability secured by force or by diplomacy? As warships patrol and diplomats scramble, the world holds its breath. What will the morning bring?